The new edging strat. I hate you.
Okay, that is definitely something. Let's just get into the build breakdown. To the gear setup for the gun, we are using Pestilence because it is a Pestilence build. Obviously, this gun, if you don't know what it does, basically whenever you overhit this gun would release a Nova that deal 10x the gun card damage. It also scales with gun damage, action skill damage, and the Mayhem scaling. So it is very powerful and every hunters can make good use of it. When you are using the Pestilence, you have to constantly cancel the cooling animation, otherwise the Nova will stop. You can choose it by either meleeing the weapon, which everyone can do, but if you have a keyboard, another method is to use the arrow key and activate your emote. This way is more powerful because you will be able to put out a lot more Novas. It basically depends on your CPS. You can even write a macro to spam the arrow keys and it would evaporate literally any enemies, but that is too cheaty for me, so I don't dabble into that. For the enchantment, I have Iron Cup active, weapon increased by 150. You can also get 150 over 90 annoyed. That can also be nice for mobbing. As a gun I'm using is the Zicep Eruption. This provides you with 200% debuff to enemies. This realistically should be used only in red boss situation where they are tougher, and these extra buff can come a long ways. Normally for as a hunter I wouldn't use this because they already have enough support, but for Moze, she, in my opinion, the weakest hunters to use the Pestilence, so she might need the help of this. Still, Pestilence is so broken that the weakest version of it is still performing really well. Mayhem 11. For the shield, we have to use a red shoot. I forgot to mention, but whenever you release a Nova, you also take a large amount of radiation damage, enough to down you. So the red suit grants you immunity to radiation damage as well as the immunity to that cell damage from the Pestilence, so you won't down yourself. Oh, and remember to not take any noise that provides you bonus element that isn't radiation, because that will down you. For the grenade, I'm using a it piece because it provides you with a nice 20% debuff, and I'm also using a grenade to annoyed. This provides you with weapon damage and action skill damage, two of which are very beneficial to your Pestilence Novas. Honestly, any grenade with this annoy can work for this build. You don't have to use a piece, so don't bother yourself too much. For the artifact, you have to get an elemental projector artifact. It doesn't have to be legendary. A purple elemental projector with great passive is already top tier for this build. The reason elemental projector is so great in this build is that the elemental damage boost will always be active because we are constantly taking radiation damage from the Pestilence, and 130 is a lot considering that we don't get that anywhere in the skill tree. For the class mod, I'm using a flare class mod. This provides you with 100% V1 damage, while the Iron Bear is active or Iron Cup in this situation. For the passive on here, you would want to get splash damage, radius, splash damage, and action skill damage. Either splash damage or action skill damage is great. You don't have to get both of those because I know farming for the passive is very horrible in this game. Try to get as much point into stainless bear as possible because that provides you with extra action skill damage. Forget to mention, but for the passive on the artifact, you would want to get movement speed, aerial effect, damage on the second slot or first slot, it doesn't matter that much for this build, and radiation damage. If you can get a Alter Idol legendary artifact, because that provides you with a lot of survivability. Moving on to the skill tree, we start with the green skill tree where we put 4 points into Cloud Lead and 1 point into Darker Bear in order to get out the skill tree, where Scrappy provides us with a lot of weapon damage. Rushing offensive actually work when you are holding down the shift button. Even though it doesn't seem like you are sprinting, you are still getting the lifesteal from the Pestilence Novas. So this is just great survivability. Scorching RPM is for more action skill damage. It is stated that Iron Bear damage, but it is actually action skill damage, so that is very nice. Next up we have the purple skill tree, where we spec 5 points into Biofuel for health regen, really big guns for Iron Cup damage and to get out the skill tree. Double time for more Moze speed, Haminess Havoc E so that we get like 15% gun damage because we are using my radiation gears. You could even get a radiation grenade here if you want to get the final extra 10%. Fire is for more fire rate, which helps overheating the pestilence nitro in engines and never going to give you up. To support the flare class mod, this would provide you with a lot more iron cup uptime. Limit break is for action skill cooldown rate. Running on fumes is so that we get a lot of iron bear uptime, which in turn helps the flare class mod. For the green skill tree, we are putting 3 points deadline and grease in order to move down skill tree. Red deadline is very nice for iron cup uptime. Stainless steel bear is for maximum fuel, which is great for flare and iron bear damage, which means action skill damage, which will benefit our pestilent novas. Thought cross promotion is a very interesting skill for pestilent build for Moze because it largely increases your nova's radius, which means you are getting rich into enemies that normally wouldn't be killed, and Moze doesn't have that much movement speed, so this is also great for her. This also provides you with a nice little bonus blast damage, which also benefits the Nova. For the rest skill tree, I'm only speccing 5 into infantry for gun damage, and routing is a brush for more gun damage. For the Iron Cup setup, I'm using Iron Cup with the efficiency engine augment. And for the weapon, you can use anything that you seem fit. Like I'm using a railgun here because it could be great for 5 July situation, but you can also use a Vanquisher rocket pod with target softening augment if you want to debuff enemies. That can also be a great help to your damage. So that is it. Hope you find this video useful. If you did, remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already. Comment down below on what you think. Join the Discord server and see you guys next time.